Did Adolf Hitler fake his death? To this day, World War II remains the deadliest war in the history of mankind. This war claimed a total of 56,400,000 lives between 1939 and 1945. This war is credited to the infamous Adolf Hitler. The German dictator initiated the war by invading Poland on September 1939. While the war lasted, Hitler also executed the Holocaust, which was a genocide that claimed the lives of approximately 6 million Jews. Today, we will review Adolf Hitler's demise and the conspiracy theories surrounding his death. On April 30th, 1945, every broadcasting station in Germany and other parts of the world aired the news that many yearned for but never thought they would ever hear. Everyone listened with utmost attention and disbelief as German Admiral Dönitz said over the radio, "German men and women, soldiers of the armed forces, our Führer Adolf Hitler has fallen."
Aus dem Führerhauptquartier wird gemeldet, dass unser Führer Adolf Hitler heute Nachmittag in seinem Befehlsstand in der Reichskanzlei bis zum letzten Atemzuge gegen den Bolschewismus kämpfend für Deutschland gefallen ist.
Dönitz reported that Hitler had died while fighting with his troops, and he appointed him as head of state before drawing his last breath. The fearsome dictator who wielded and abused so much power was no longer. Many people believed Hitler was immortal, so despite the report, they still found it hard to believe he was actually dead. Everyone wanted to catch a glimpse of his body, but had swiftly been cremated as he instructed his subordinates to do. Leading up to his death, Hitler had gone into hiding in an underground bunker under the Reich Chancellor building since January of 1945, when the Soviet Union soldiers started gradually closing in on his location. The public initially thought that the Soviet Union soldiers had indeed caught up with him. But news soon began circulating that Hitler didn't die fighting as reported. Instead, he went down the cowardly way. Adolf Hitler committed suicide. Hitler always said he would only accept absolute victory or absolute defeat in the war. So suicide was his definition of absolute defeat, since he was losing his chance of proclaiming absolute victory. On the 29th of April, he got married to his longtime mistress, Eva Braun. She was 33 years old at the time, while Hitler was 56. The following day, he received information that Benito Mussolini was shot and hanged by his leg in the streets of Italy. Hitler knew he would share the same fate if he was captured, and therefore wasn't going to allow this to happen. According to reports, Hitler and his wife settled down to eat lunch on April 30th, followed by poisoning his dog after their meal. Hitler then proceeded to swallow a capsule filled with cyanide. He then changed into his Nazi uniform while Eva wore a blue dress. It turns out the couple wanted to end it all in style. They both went into the study where they took a seat on a couch. The newlyweds were found dead thereafter. Investigators believe Hitler first shot Eva before shooting himself in the head. His aides then carried the corpses to the garden and cremated them as Hitler had instructed before his death. However, they could not burn the bodies completely because Soviet Union soldiers were drawing closer to their location. Hitler's jawbone and teeth fragments that remained were buried nearby. This death marked the end of World War II as the German armed forces surrendered a week after, on May 7, 1945. Adolf Hitler rained so much terror on the world that Dönitz's announcement and the surrendering of the German military troop weren't proof enough for people to believe they got rid of him that easily. Since then, people have come up with conspiracy theories about the dictator's death. While some of these theories are reasonable to an extent, others are a lot more extreme. Let us take a look at some of these conspiracy theories and the subsequent claims debunking each of them. The most popular of these theories is the one that alleges that Hitler didn't kill himself, but escaped to Argentina with his newlywed wife in a U-boat. Purveyors of this theory claim Hitler lived in Argentina with his wife and daughter for another 12 years before he died. To further promote his theory, many people keep reporting sightings of Adolf Hitler in Argentina. Among these people was an old woman, Catalina Gomera. She claimed that a mysterious German man stayed in a house where she worked, and the workers were not allowed to see him, but people who saw him reported that it was Hitler. Gomera said she used to leave sausages and other German meals outside the strange man's room. The second theory is pretty far-fetched. This conspiracy theory lays claim that Hitler cloned himself, and he killed his clone in the bunker in 1945 to deceive the world and escape the wrath of the Soviet Union. This bizarre theory is due to Hitler's love for science and his previous collaborations with scientists. He also had a unique interest in biotechnology. In the 1978 movie Boys of Brazil, it was suggested that Hitler had successfully undergone a cloning procedure done by his closest friend, Dr. Joseph Mengele. The last theory we will examine in this video propagates that Hitler wasn't just an evil dictator, but also an evil genius. The purveyors of this theory claim that Hitler found a way to travel to the moon, where he built a secret bunker to mysteriously escape Earth, literally, and transport himself to the moon. If this were true, then Neil Armstrong was not the first man to step foot on the moon as we were led to believe. That is not all to this theory. It adds that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were not sent to the moon to set a world record. Rather, they were there to search for Hitler. However, they didn't find him, which is why all missions to the moon have been abandoned ever since. I know, an outrageous theory indeed. It is possible Hitler fled to Argentina since many Germans did flee there to escape the horrors of the war. Regarding the cloning claim, there aren't even cases of a successful human clone right now, not to mention as far back as 1945? Well, maybe the purveyors of this theory have strong hopes that Hitler's scientific team were far more advanced for the time. Finally, if Neil Armstrong could make it to the moon, why not Hitler? Before we decide which theory sounds more feasible, let's examine claims debunking each theory. Gomera's claim was mere hearsay since she never saw the man physically. To further debunk this claim, Hitler's chef insisted that Hitler was strictly vegetarian and wouldn't eat a sausage as Gomera claimed. Also, forensic pathologist Professor Philippe Charlier, who examined fragments of Hitler's teeth, found no traces of meat fiber in them. So, whoever Gomera was serving sausages definitely wasn't Hitler. Besides the cloning theory being scientifically impossible, there was no evidence that Hitler and Mengele actually knew each other. If we are going to believe that a cloning procedure happened successfully as far back as 1945, we should at least have evidence that the individuals involved ever crossed each other's paths. The movie Boys of Brazil was probably a combination of fiction and non-fiction, and people failed to decipher the fictitious part from the real part. All the conspiracy theories were laid to rest in 2017 when results confirmed that Hitler had died in 1945. Back in 1945, the Soviet Union military intelligence troops allegedly found fragments of Hitler's teeth and charred remains where they stormed his location. The remains were stored in a facility in Moscow, and they kept the discovery a secret. Later, in 2017, Russian authorities permitted French forensic pathologist and paleopathologist Professor Philippe Charlier and his team to examine the remains. Charlier reported seeing a skull fragment with a bullet hole in its left side. He also examined the teeth fragments and found no gunpowder residue, indicating that he didn't shoot himself through the mouth. In a study he co-authored with 4 other researchers, Charlier concluded that the remains are authentic and that Hitler died back in 1945. However, they weren't allowed to take specimens for testing, so they couldn't ascertain the facts surrounding his death. What do you believe happened to Adolf Hitler? Do you take the word of a scientist who couldn't even get specimens for testing? Do you think he fled to Argentina and lived happily with his family after destroying so many lives? Would you rather believe Hitler was the first man to land on the moon and create a fortress there? Or did he clone himself and walk away freely while his clone atoned for his sins? Let us know what you think about Hitler's death in the comments section below. Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Likewise, turn on notifications so you never miss a video.